we shall largely focus on what we are seeing on LinkedIn Live. So thank you so much for coming over Coffee Chat. This is a monthly chat that I do with guests on varied topics, and the focus is on helping audiences coming in and explore and maybe learn more about what's happening on the technology side, both on technology, business, domain, and then also on social impact. So these are various subjects that I've had conversations on with people from Walmart, Google, startup sector in India, globally as well. And today I thought it would make a lot of sense because everyone is today talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, and I'm like, it has possibly become a star liner on everybody's CV. And all of a sudden we see so many data and AI experts, in market. So it will be worth having this conversation for next 45 minutes and see how can people who join us on Coffee Chat can learn more and, take some value adds. So quickly for next 2 minutes, if you can give an introduction for the audience, that would be very useful and great.
Yeah, thank you, Kapil. I think this is a great show, and I've also seen some of the past ones. So, hi everyone, I'm Nilabdhi Samantray. I have been in the IT industry for more than 20 years now, and I work in the data, predominantly data and analytics field from almost the start of my career. So I have worked with multiple organizations. Like to start with, it was with HP Agilent, and then Mahindra Satyam, and then I was with IBM. I was with IBM for close to 14 years, and now I am with CSM Technologies. So, and all through I have been into the traditional data warehousing and business intelligence, and then moving to analytics, reporting, ETL, data integration, and then getting some insights and slowly moving towards advanced analytics and then artificial intelligence, AI, ML, and of course, RPA. And then right now I'm playing the Chief Digital Officer role in CSM Tech, where I look after all the emerging technologies with a special focus on AI, ML. But yes, apart from AI, ML, also blockchain, industrial IoTs, and geospatial technologies. And data science, anything and everything related to data science, that's what the area I work in. That's a brief about myself.
Great. So I think this is very interesting, Nilabdhi. So let's hit the deck straight away. And let's kind of try and understand more on what do you think of generative AI and open AI, which has kind of become talk of the town of late, and what do you see as future in terms of production capabilities? Because one of the key problems that AI as a technology has had is a very, very high mortality rate between an idea to a workable model to a pre-prod testing or a production solution. So what are your views on it? And more so importantly, with recent suites coming in for generative AI on data privacy and data breach. So technology, its usability, and on the data side in terms of how does it take care of the data privacy aspects?
Yeah, I think that is a fantastic question, Kapil, to start with. AI, as you know, it's not a new technology. So if we look at the year, it was 1956 when AI got started. So it's more than half a century back that AI started. Emerging technologies are not new technologies. Emerging technologies are those technologies which are relevant to the current times. AI is one of them. Though the start of AI was more than 50 years, in fact, for that matter, 70 years back. However, with time, the unleashing of the true power of AI and making it relevant to the business and the common people, like the citizens, the consumers, now it has picked up and it has become more relevant, and the benefits is being reaped now. It is great times for AI, especially GPT. Since OpenAI launched the GPT, it's gone to a different level altogether. and for good reasons. There have been parallel AI efforts that were going on even before the OpenAI launched the GPT. On similar lines, for example, the Watson of IBM. It was on similar lines where it was trying to leverage the power, just like we have the large language models in LLMs in GPT. GPT-4 is what right now it is 3.5 and 4 is going on. So this is bringing in a transformation altogether. And as you said, that there are different views of AI. For example, there are concerns that AI could take away many jobs, which is the first thing which people talk about. There have been many articles on that. Maybe one of the articles from the International Labour Organization, which said there could be 114 million jobs which AI could impact and take away. However, there would be equal number of jobs which will be created by AI, almost equal number. And what it means is that the people of our industry have to continuously upgrade themselves, reinvent themselves, get aligned with AI. Technology cannot undo itself. I think one of my friends from Super AI, she said, I think this was a great word, which said technology cannot undo itself. So you have to get onboarded to the technology. So you cannot go back saying that, I won't use any more mobile phones or GPT. No, you cannot do that. So you have to get onboarded and see how it enables you, how GPT enables you to do your job better. So that's what we have to explore. Kapil, just answer.
Makes sense. I think that's very interesting. Now talking about technology and multiple technologies kind of coming into forefront. One of the key things that happened in I think 2015, 2017 was introduction of RPA, right? And slowly, people started talking about RPA will automate a lot of things. So it all started way back in 2010. And, it was said that by 2015, 80% of the jobs will be lost, bots will take over, and we will be nowhere. But then obviously, it evolved. And it happened so that by 2019, 2020, there were conversations that RPA is gone, right? And it does not make sense to use RPA anymore. And it was altogether a different side of spectrum that we were looking at. However, IPA took over and, a lot of platforms, including the likes of Kofax, KTA, have shown the capabilities and the power of intelligent process automation. What are your views on RPA blended with AI and machine learning, giving super value add to businesses? Any examples that you can quote, or the use cases that you've worked on, leveraging both the technologies together?
Yeah, sure. So Kapil, you are right. RPA, it started way back in 2010 or something, and it really picked up pace around 2017, 18. It was in its peak. If we step back a bit, we look at what happened in the early 2000s. So it was, the noise was the IT is everywhere. The computers have come and jobs will go away. And IT created more jobs than anything else in the world, in the industry. It was a complete transformation. And if you look around, one of the highest employing industry is IT industry for jobs. On similar lines, I think whenever a new technology comes and which does certain things which humans traditionally do, there is a fear psychosis that it will take away human job. However, technology is created by humans to add more value to the job they do. So there is always a takeaway that humans can have to move to a new higher value jobs. Just like RPA, the traditional RPA or the regular RPA which we were used to, it used to do any repetitive task or mundane task, like picking up a data from an Excel sheet and then pushing it into some forms, and then whichever was a repeat job, it will try to analyze that and try to do those repeat jobs by itself, which was a traditional RPA. And then came RPA with AI. So I remember I used to earlier work in one of my projects where Blue Prism was used. And then eventually, while I was in IBM, the power of Watson, because Watson AI was integrated with that. What it did is one of the use cases at that point of time was for any maintenance project. So traditionally, maintenance projects are all tracked in any of the ticketing tools like Remedy. Remedy was one of the ticketing tools. So that there are thousands and millions of records over the time, whatever tickets are fixed, all those thousands of records are always there in the Remedy. And lot of activities which were repeat tasks, creation of password and forwarding of certain forms and stuff, that was automated in RPA. However, what the intelligence that brings in is the AI part of it, which can figure out that if there are certain activities which were, say, if a particular error has come in the past, the traditional RPA will know exactly what was done in the past. It will do the same thing again. That is the traditional RPA. What AI will do is it will learn every time. So the cognitive power of AI will tell that this particular problem, though the error number is same, however, there could be some cascading impact on the server or some other issue, or there is a data issue, or because the format is different or something else, it will come up with a new solution for that same problem. So while in the traditional RPA, we may not be able to address certain things, but in the new, with the power of AI, we can put in a lot of contextual things, which was not there. The contextual things, the other intelligent decision making, the identification of what are the possible automation. Like, for example, in traditional RPA, we don't know what to automate. We always do a lot of brainstorming and come up with that. But with the AI power, it will also tell you what are the different processes that can be automated. That is the cognitive automation or the intelligent process optimization that we're talking about. Plus, it can also do some kind of predictive analytics on how your system is going to work in future, or what are the key area or your failures that could happen if there is a trend or pattern that this particular error keeps on happening again and again in your system. Then it can pretty well alarm you that the prediction is that every Thursday at this time your system is having a peak impact because of this batch run. You might incur the same kind of problem again. So the prescription is you fix this, and this is how I can fix it by changing your code to this. So that is the AI into RPA.
Great. So I think obviously I'm like orchestration, mining. There are a lot of things that are there involved in kind of identifying where are the opportunities for automating various business processes. Can you pick one very complex use case that you came across in any of your past programs without naming the programs? What was the use case like? What was the challenge that you had there? And how did you leverage the power of both the technologies together to solve the problem? And what were the key improvement matrices that you kind of looked at?
Yeah, sure. So I remember this was for one of the publishing house, a publishing client. They were into media and entertainment, and they wanted. So we were doing some of their RPA automation on their certain forms and other things. However, they wanted some automation to be done in their contract management solution. So predominantly, because they were media and entertainment, they were publishing house. So their royalty part. So whenever there is an expiry date on a certain contract, or the royalty has to be renewed, or any changes have to be done with the contract, recommendations, validations, all of that they wanted it to be automated as well. And that is where we brought in from the traditional RPA part to the AI intervention, where we wanted to check out of the 100,000 contracts, where are the contracts which needs to be renewed, which is reaching the expiry date, which has to be revalidated, or there are risks in that, or there has to be some added because of we have put in the business rules, some added paragraphs were missing. So all those kind of whatever the business rules they wanted, we had put that, and we could read that because using the image readers, and PDF readers. We used to get those data, translate it to our system, get that embedded into the database, and then create our models and algorithms were enabled so that we are able to make sense out of that. And the contract management solution was eventually, there were a lot of challenges in that because it was not giving, initially it was not giving the precise answer that we are looking for, but eventually when we kept on training it, we got the answers right. So one of the examples, which was the contract management solution, and eventually we were able to get the solution ready and rolled out for the client, and they were happy with that solution.
No, I think this is a kind of very interesting use case, because one, you need to run through all the contract, different type of content which is there, extract data out there, and then see depending on the logics that you create, whether it makes sense for you to put that under a particular category, or how do you really want to look at that contract for renewal or cessation of that contract. So I think very, very, very interesting use case. What are the key industries or verticals that you have seen leveraging the power of AI and RPA together, that where you have seen that it is prevalent to have those technologies being used vastly?
Yes, I think the key industries where it is used, quite often is banking and finance, because that is where we see the maximum automation scope. There is healthcare, where the of late, I mean post-COVID, there is a lot of AI intervention in healthcare. Never before healthcare industry had done so much of AI ML intervention and automation. In fact, we are also doing a couple of projects on similar lines with some of the government clients as well, not just the private sector, but even the government sector. They are now onboarded. They want to do automation, in fact, hyper automation, as well as they want to leverage the power of AI. The best part is now the government of state governments of India, and as well as the government of India, they are pretty open to adopting all the latest technologies. If you remember the budget speech and of Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, even she was talking about AI, right? As part of the budget speech, make AI in India, make AI work for India. That was her key, key statement that she said. That is the kind of interest and the investment that not only the enterprise or the private sector is doing, but government sector is also doing. Manufacturing is another area where we see a lot of automating of supply chain processes, quality controls, predictive maintenance like asset management, fuel management, demand forecasting. So I have worked a lot on the mining sector, mines and mineral sector. That is also where we are looking at a lot of RPA. When I say RPA, it's not just the software RPA or robotic process automation, but also the physical RPA, where we are some robotic processes are there which we want to automate and integrate both the physical RPA and the software RPA together to get the maximum value of that. That is another sector. There is, of course, the telecom sector. I remember I had worked for one of the Malaysian telco clients, where we had done a lot of automation work, including the AI, where we wanted to get the next best action and aspects, opportunity for the customers, how to reduce customer churn, how to increase the ARPU and other things. In order to do that, we had to do a lot of AI interventions out there.
Can we talk a bit more on this use case? This sounds very, very interesting.
Okay. So this particular use case, one of the telco clients, they wanted to, first of all, based on the churn propensity, they wanted to figure out who are their customers who have a good lifetime customer value. That is basically who are premium for them. So whenever a prepaid customers, they walk into a store. So before they exit the store, suppose somebody goes there and tops up 20 ringgits. Okay. So before the customer goes out of the store, if the customer is a premium customer, so within seconds the customer would get another SMS or a message in the phone that you top off another 20 and you get 10 free or 15 free, to top up, because they know this is a premium customer. However, if the customer is not premium, they may not get that particular offer. At the same time, all customers, they have a network, like network, say one person, Jack, is connected to 15 more friends. And out of those 15 friends, there could be five premium customers. So when we map who are the critical customers and we want to retain, we know that out of these 5 people, if any one of them leaves to a competitor, remaining 5 will also leave, or remaining 15 will leave, because they are a close net, they are a close user group who are all connected. But we have maximum premium customers there. So we have a lot of such analysis done in the background, AI recommendations, predictive and prescriptive analytics using the different AI models and algorithms, which ensures that whoever we should retain, we retain, and whoever is not that critical for us, we does that. So that kind of mapping and algorithm was created as part of this initiative, and a lot of automation and AI predictions were done as part of this solution.
Well, this is very interesting, right? When you talk about prediction, when you look at various aspects, wherein you're looking at profiling the customer. One of the things that I was actually looking at from Gartner, from their data summit, which happened earlier this year, was the fact that Gartner predicts that by 2030, the cost of storing customer data will be very, very high. So none of the businesses will be able to store customer data, right? And when you get into that stage, what do you think the technology would look like when it comes to you being able to, decide or make decisions without storing customer data? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, today itself, there is a suit being filed on OpenAI for using publicly available data, and people claiming money for as loyalty, wherein OpenAI has used their personal data to train various models. So come 2030, when you don't have enough money, or rather the cost of storing data itself is going to be very, very high. How do you think would these models and algorithms work?
Okay, I think that's a very, you can say, a tricky question. And the answer is, I think you had asked about GDPR. Sorry, I missed out that earlier. So I think this is related now. If we look at GDPR laws in Europe, okay, they are inversely proportional to the growth of AI. Okay. However, there are certain restrictions which will continue to enable AI. What this means is there are a lot of restrictions in how you use the data, or the customer data, or the citizen data as part of the GDPR laws. On similar lines, I think we also have a DPDP law, which is still in the constitution, in the parliament, to be decided how and when it will get passed. So this DPDP law of 2019 will kind of add on top of our existing IT law, which we have currently. So as we move forward, there will be a lot of restrictions on how we use the data, especially the private and sensitive data, which will identify an individual, which is a good thing that enables that your data is yours. Whoever is the citizen, whoever is the generating the data for themselves, that belongs to that person. There would be some ruling wherein if we are able to mask the data, and we only get certain attributes which is required to get our patterns, to get our trends, to get our AI, we should get it. What predominantly it means is invest more in data security, invest more in cyber security, and invest more to ensure there is a anonymizing and masking of the individuals and the customers. When you are able to do that, for example, if the Jack becomes XXX, his date of birth become 0123, email becomes XYZ, and everything is masked. And if there is no way that you can take away the data, even if there is a data leakage happening, what you get is a garbage, because the way you encrypt it, the way you are using the data security tools, and there are many tools available in the industry from some of the very strong, OEMs, like including IBM Guardian or Oracle, Microsoft. They get all of data security solutions are there, of course, which will ensure that the data is protected well. So if we are able to protect that data, so what we are doing is we are not curtailing the expansion of AI. At the same time, we are ensuring that no private data is available or compromised. So technology should not be undone,
However, that should be enough security in place to ensure the individuals, they have the rights to protect their own privacy. It should not be that somebody's healthcare data is available for everybody else to look at. That should not be acceptable, and technology can only do that possible. So that's just to answer your question, previous question.
I think this is great. So I think now to kind of understand more on a question which has been asked by Aniket there, says that share any case related to fraud prevention in e-commerce industry, how AI can help.
Yeah, hi Aniket. See, Aniket, I have not worked much on e-commerce. However, I can talk about fraud cases that we do in other industries. A couple of other industries are there. Maybe I can pick up a traditional case as mining, because people may not know that there can be also fraud in mining. So, for example, mining, when I say, I'm not talking about data mining, I'm talking about the actual mining of natural resources. So from a context of natural resources, all the mines that is extracted, whether it is open cast from a mountain or it is underground, anywhere, the natural resources belong to the union government or the federal government, depending on which country it is. So as in India, it is the union government who are owner of all natural resources, irrespective of which state it resides in. However, the royalty of that natural resources being extracted is 100% of the state government. So what it means is, if a particular lessee, when I say lessee, it is a mining company. Just like we have globally, we have Rio Tintos and BHPs. In India, we have the Tatas, the JSWs, the ArcelorMittals of the world. And other than these giants, there are also thousands of smaller companies many of those small companies who are there. So the company, whoever extracts the natural resources, they have to pay royalty to the government, because they are utilizing that natural resource for getting iron, bromide, aluminum, whatever. And as per the rule, whenever the extraction is done, they have to fill it back with if the mountain is being taken away, you create the mountain again, and the afforestation and other thing, all the law is that will ensure that you don't damage the environment. Now, in order to, whenever you as a lessee, you take away the natural resource, you pay a royalty to the government, so that the government also ensures the place from where you are extracting those districts, DMF and the other fund, those districts are well compensated, so that human life and whoever is staying there, they don't get impacted. Generally, this doesn't. So it does happen with many companies. Of course, not most of it, but good number of companies. What they do is they wrongly declare. They wrongly declare what is the grade of the particular mineral. For example, if we talk about iron ore, so an iron ore of grade 60 versus iron ore of grade 62.5, the royalty rates will be very different. And when we look at, when we calculate that for over a year for multiple mines, we are talking about thousands of crores. So declaration of what is your grade, and ensuring that the grade is correct, and whatever the sample is being taken is correct, it is very important. And that is where, as I said, not all, but yes, there are a few lessees who do compromise that. So there are thousands of lessees. Okay, out of that, few lessees do compromise, but the money becomes large. So to start with the AI part of it, we do a lot of interventions there. We also did some augmented reality interventions, and to ensure there is a random sampling being done. Some robotics interventions we did, which is currently not yet done, but it's in progress. That is, we intend to do. And then there is when we look at the different trends using the AI and analytics, we figure out that a particular mine which traditionally was bringing in certain number of grade, if this grade has depreciated suddenly, and then there is something fishy happening, because a particular mine, it cannot suddenly change a huge grade of the whatever the material is, iron ore or whatever it is. That could be a situation where the electricity consumption is same over the period, but or electric consumption is doubled, but the declaration of how much extraction was done is the same. There could be something fishy. Fuel consumption, asset management. So we have different devices which throws away data at any point of time, the industrial IoTs, and we know what is the fuel consumption, electricity consumption, or the grade. So any kind of suspicious activities anywhere, we get alerts. It throws away an indication that something fishy is happening, and that is all machine learning running in the background. Just an example of mining industry.
Got it. Cool. So, in terms of the challenges that you see, for both AI and RPA in future, what do you think, are the top 2 or 3 challenges?
See, to start with, yeah, you're welcome, Aniket. So to start with, we have to understand one thing, that when we say we want to automate, it's not like everything can be and should be automated. So we should choose the use cases, what should be automated and what shouldn't be automated. It's not like, because automation is there, because RPA is there, you automate everything. No, then you will end up in a lot of trouble, things which you should not add. Automation that should be automated in order to do any AI intervention, because AI, ML, I mean, no matter what technology we talk about today, everything depends on the data quality. So AI, ML algorithms, they heavily rely on the quality of the data. So you have to, one of the challenges, you have to do a lot of investment into data quality, that you have to optimize the data to ensure that you have the right data, you have the right training data, which will train your models or tune your models, which will be used, models and algorithms, parameters, data sets, all of that. That is a very time-consuming thing. That is another challenge. You may not be able to integrate with all the sources. Some of them may not be compatible, and you have to do a lot of transformation work. That is another challenge, you can say. One of the key challenge, which is not technical, but it is more to do with change management and adoption. So whenever you bring in a new technology, you have to ensure that it is being adopted by the consumers, whoever the client is, because the client means it's not just a company and concrete, it's the people, the business users of the client who want to use it. But there will be a lot of resistance out there. So you have to change management and adoption is a very important aspect that you have to take into account whenever you are implementing RPA. That I will consider as a challenge. And you have to also maintain your RPA. It's not like, you just created a RPA bot or 20 bots, whatever number of bots, and it will run on its own. No. Every time you have to maintain it, because there are a lot of changes that will happen in the process. So a particular workflow, which is page 1, page 2, page 3 forms. These 3 forms, that could be changed in certain form. There could be change in a data field. There could be entity or attribute change. So you have to keep maintaining your RPA so that it keeps working properly as per what is expected. Some of the challenges, Kapil.
No, I think very valid. I'm like, automation is not the answer to almost every problem, right? You need to choose the problem wisely. And most of the times, this is one of the reasons why all the larger digital transformation programs fail. Because the organizations feel or believe that anything and everything can be pushed to machine and can be automated. Unfortunately, it's not this way. I'm sure that there'll be a time wherein larger part of things will be done by machines, but one of the key risk or threat that it brings along is it's the human who trains the machine as well. So if you are training it right, it does it right. If you don't train it well, it doesn't do well. So I think that's one thing which is very, very important. You also spoke about the use cases in banking and financial services space, right? The banking and financial services space deals with a lot of personal data to a lot of financial data, and anything which goes wrong can actually impact anybody financially a lot, right? So can you just pick one use case in BFSI space that you came across and you worked on automating that, wherein you felt that there was a good ROI that you could define or identify for the customer, and that was successful?
When we talk about Kapil, banking sector or financial sector, I don't, as I said earlier, directly I have not worked in a banking sector. However, there are a lot of financial transactions that happens in other sectors where we do a lot of integrations with different banks for the payment gateways. We do a lot of financial transactions in hundreds of crores and thousands of crores. And there are a lot of, say, different parties which do transactions across, and there are workflows that happens. So yes, there are some we put in some business rules which initiates, or there are certain network maps that is created for any suspicious activities that happens, the financial suspicious activity that happens across any of the applications. And some of the proprietary tools which do have a lot of such, for example, SAS Visual Investigator is there, that is detection and investigation of SAS. Then there is a fraud analytics tool of IBM. So these are the kind of tools which we have used. So they have their own fraud algorithm mappings done. So irrespective of which sector or domain it is, they integrate that, and they have certain maps and certain business rules by default, which we can customize and add, that any suspicious activity transactions happening which is out of the business rule, it will send across the alerts, or it can also stop the payment from happening, and till it is approved, as they say, 4I concept. So till it happens, it will not allow that transactions.
All right, makes sense. No, I think this is very, very useful. There's one question which has come in from Nitin. He says that what is the best framework or technology tools to solve any AI RPA use case? Any recommendation on open source?
It all depends on what is your use case. The framework will be different than what you are using. So you can either use a leading RPA platform like, say, UiPath or Automation Anywhere, and you can have some AI capabilities depending on, say, computer vision when you want to read something, visual automation, if there is some images or videos or documents that you want to read and then automate certain things, or it is plain text, or you want to import somebody is dumping some Excel sheets on a FTP, you want to pick it up and then you want to push it inside some forms. So it depends on what is your use case that you want to use. TensorFlow is one of the open source machine learning framework which is developed by Google, which can be used for your AI models, in order to embed that to the RPA. Then there is PyTorch. We have many NLP libraries, and of course the OpenAI GPT-3, that is also one of it extends its API to be leveraged. So it is case to case basis. So it's not one size fit all. So depending on what is your particular use case, you can decide what are the tool and frameworks that you want to use.
All right. In terms of, let's kind of, as we are inching closer towards the end, I just want to, also touch base upon what are the key criteria or parameters that you essentially look at when you try and, automate a business process. And obviously, there is attended and then there is unattended automation. Everybody wants autonomous approach, right? Wherein you don't need any intervention, but it comes with pros and cons. In terms of defining the key parameters of deciding which kind of program or process would you automate, what has been your experience on top 2 or 3 key things that helped you decide whether to go for it or you don't go for it?
Yes. Wherever there is a risk associated, where a decision making has to be taken by a decision maker, say whether it is an approving authority in the enterprise client or an official in the government client. So whenever a business analyst sits with a business user, there has to be nodal points or the decision points in a workflow that has to be decided, that these are the points where there has to be a human viewpoint for an approval, because that has a certain value. So those are the points which cannot be automated. To start with, we start with looking at what are the things which cannot be automated, Then we move into what can be automated. So there are two aspects of this. One is hyper automation, that is automate whatever is possible to be automated. That is one aspect to that. The other aspect is if it is a sensitive client, like we spoke about the financial sector, which is pretty sensitive sector, or healthcare sector. So we look at what are the things we cannot automate. We start with that, and then we look at the entire business process. We understand all the workflows, and then we chalk out which are the nodal points where we cannot automate. Once we find out what we cannot automate, then it's easier for us to figure out what else can be automated. So everything else that is remaining there, we look at automating those processes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, as we kind of, look to go towards the last leg of this coffee chat, we'll just kind of, want to understand from you in terms of penetration, what do you think are the top 2 or 3 practices from your learning that will enable anybody to penetrate deeper into processes leveraging these technologies? So what are the top 2 or 3 practices that you would recommend people to follow or look at? And then how do you see the trends going on for AI, machine learning, computer vision, leveraging RPA jointly?
Yeah, I think to start with, if we look at the total market share, so the market share of the RPA, so the primary 40% is UiPath, 30% is Automation Anywhere, and then another 30% is Blue Prism. Then it's only 10% that is rest all RPA providers, including the open source providers. Automation Anywhere now, I think IBM has joined hands with them. So for anyone who wants to get into RPA and want to make a career in RPA, it's very important that you understand how these companies who are the leaders in the RPA, in the Gartner quadrant, or wherever you look at, you to understand their technology, how they are leveraging the RPA, what are their RPA solutions. So from a learner perspective, you should understand these technology platforms, framework of the leading softwares, like, as I said, UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, just to name a few. And because the times are changing and there is a lot of AI intervention, you also have to learn things like AutoML for RPA. AutoML is basically automated machine learning. So traditionally, you write machine learning algorithms, but AutoML also helps you to write those algorithms. So you have to get an understanding of that. You have to understand how reinforcement learning works in RPA. You have to understand intelligent process minings, and you have to understand how to make contextual and personalized automations work in a particular for a RPA environment. These are the different areas and studies that you as an individual one can do to ensure that the future of RPA, which is brighter with the GPTs and AI of the world, because more and more automation will happen, which will save cost that will save cost for the organization, and at the same time the mundane task and some intelligent tasks can be done by them, and there will be a lot of people also required in order to enable it to do those intelligent automation for RPA to work in such a manner. So yes, there will be more hyper automations as well. So my suggestion is whoever is in this area of the AI/ML, RPA cannot be separate from there. It will just expand and capture more and more market, and it will grow because it will grow hand in hand with the AI and GPT. Kapil.
No, I think this is very, very useful, and the choices that businesses usually make is either they would want to build everything by themselves, or they are going to use a low code approach to kind of solve their business problems. And most of the times businesses end up realizing that there is too much on their platter, and it is more important to kind of follow the business benefit use cases accordingly and in priority. And that's where RPA comes handy in terms of de-skilling the kind of technology awareness you would need for somebody to build automation leveraging RPA platforms. However, I guess it's extremely important to see how you can build machine learning use cases. I remember for one of our customers, wherein we have been managing car accidents reporting largely in the US market. We found out that it was very cumbersome to kind of look at different type of reports that were coming in, different type of images coming in, and process those manually, right? And that is where we kind of built a custom model and fed it into RPA. It took an input from RPA, and the output was again fed into metadata format, which was again pushed by RPA onto the platform and made it fairly easy, right? And reduce the overall manual efforts by close to about 60-70%. So I think these are various use cases where you can straight away look at ROIs coming in really fast. Even we have seen that leveraging RPA, and if you use IPA effectively, ROI can be as low as 4 to 6 months rather than 2 to 3 years that is usually there in larger applications or softwares. So pretty useful and handy application technology. And with generative AI, ChatGPT or GPT 4.0, various scenarios and use cases, it looks like we possibly will need some more human intervention for false positive cases while we automate most of the business use cases, right? So pretty interesting, very useful insights covering various use cases, Nilabdhi. I really appreciate your time for this coffee chat today. I'm sure that all the audiences across Zoom and LinkedIn who have kind of joined in, they have kind of taken back various use cases and maybe some ideas on where you can implement RPA and automation in your day-to-day work. Thank you so very much, and looking forward to more interactions, and have a good weekend.
Thank you so very much, Kapil. Pleasure was all mine. And I think it was, you were a great host, and I think you had all the right questions. And I think, I hope everybody enjoyed the chat that we had. Yeah, thanks, Nitin. I just saw your thanks. You're welcome. So, Kapil, thank you so much for inviting me here. And it was wonderful being here and having a chat with you.